You know what's wild? Canadians spend billions on watches every year, and somehow we've convinced ourselves that the only options worth considering are the ones we see in every shopping mall from Vancouver to St. John's. But here's the thing. The watch industry has spent decades training us to believe that paying premium prices is the only way to get quality. That's not just wrong. It's a calculated strategy designed to keep you buying into brands that rely on marketing more than actual engineering. This video isn't about expensive watches or luxury status symbols. It's about 6 watch brands that have been sitting right in front of Canadian consumers for years, delivering exceptional value and real craftsmanship while the industry actively works to keep them invisible. What you're about to see are the numbers, the specifications, the actual materials, and the Canadian retailer availability that proves these brands deserve your attention. By the end of this, you'll understand why ignoring these options has cost the average Canadian watch buyer hundreds of dollars in unnecessary markup. Let's get specific about each one because saying something is good is easy. Showing the numbers is another story. Starting at number 6, we have Timex, and before you dismiss this as a budget brand, understand what you're actually looking at. Timex was founded in 1854 as the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut, making it one of the oldest continuously operating watch manufacturers in North America. The company established its Canadian operations in 1954, and for over 70 years, it has been the default choice for Canadians who wanted a reliable watch without pretension. What makes Timex remarkable isn't flashy design or complicated mechanics. It's the philosophy behind the product. Timex builds watches that work. The Weekender, their flagship affordable model, uses a simple quartz movement paired with a mineral crystal and a fabric or leather strap. The engineering here is deliberately straightforward. There are no unnecessary complications, no features you'll never use, and no hidden costs in maintenance. The movement is Japanese quartz, reliable to within 15 seconds per month, and the case is stainless steel with a water resistance rating of 30 meters, which means it handles daily wear, hand washing, and light rain without any issues. The Marlin hand wound, their mechanical offering, uses a manual seagull movement, a Chinese-made caliber that has proven itself across millions of watches worldwide. What's important here is that Timex doesn't hide the origin of its components. It lists them openly. You get an acrylic crystal, which is more scratch-prone than sapphire but significantly more affordable and easier to replace. The case thickness sits at 10 millimeters, making it a genuine dress watch that fits under shirt cuffs. Timex has earned credibility from Consumer Reports Canada, which has consistently ranked their watches in the value category for over 2 decades. The brand doesn't pay for endorsements from watch reviewers. Instead, it has built a reputation through sheer durability. Military personnel, construction workers, and outdoor enthusiasts have adopted Timex watches not because of marketing campaigns, but because these watches survive what they're subjected to. The Weekender is available at Best Buy Canada, Costco locations across the country, Amazon.ca, and directly through Timex.ca. Pricing ranges from Canadian $48 to $85 for the Weekender models, making it the most accessible entry point on this list. The Marlin hand wound sits at Canadian $199. When you calculate cost per year of ownership, assuming a 10-year lifespan, you're looking at Canadian $4 to $8 annually for the Weekender. That's less than a coffee per month. The value proposition here is almost absurd. You're buying a watch from a company that has been refining its craft for 170 years, with zero planned obsolescence and zero pretense. Timex doesn't need you to believe it's luxury. It just needs you to believe it works, and it does. Before you skip this one, hear the full argument on what actually separates these brands. At number 5 sits Casio G-Shock, a line that has transcended its original purpose so completely that most Canadians don't even realize they're looking at one of the most engineered watches ever created. Casio Computer Company was founded in 1957 in Japan, and the G-Shock line debuted in 1983 after Casio engineer Kikuo Ibe spent 2 years developing a watch that could survive being dropped from a building. The result was the DW5000, a watch that became the standard for indestructible timekeeping. Today, the G-Shock line represents the most tested and refined shock-resistant watch technology on the planet. The engineering is specific and measurable. The case uses what Casio calls a triple G design: gravity resistance, shock resistance, and vibration resistance. The movement sits inside a protective module that absorbs impact energy before it reaches the quartz mechanism. The crystal is mineral glass, treated with a special hardening process. The caseback is sealed with a gasket system that maintains water resistance even after repeated impacts. The standard G-Shock DW5600E1V, the rectangular model that has remained virtually unchanged since 1983, uses a quartz movement accurate to within 30 seconds per month and offers 200 meters of water resistance. That specification means it's rated for snorkeling and shallow diving. The battery lasts approximately 7 years on a single charge. The case is resin, which is intentional. Resin absorbs shock better than metal and is significantly lighter. For a Canadian consumer, this matters. The DW5600 is available at Best Buy Canada, Casio's official Canadian website, and major retailers across the country. Pricing starts at Canadian $40 for the basic DW5600E1V and extends to Canadian $180 for more advanced models with additional features like world time or Bluetooth connectivity. The GMW B5000, Casio's premium full metal G-Shock, retails for Canadian $1,250, but that's a different category entirely. The validation for G-Shock comes from an unexpected place: professional use. Divers, military personnel, construction workers, and emergency responders don't choose G-Shock because of marketing. They choose it because it survives environments that destroy other watches. Consumer Reports has tested G-Shock models repeatedly and consistently rates them as best in class for durability. The Canadian military has issued G-Shock watches to personnel in the field. That's not a paid endorsement. That's earned credibility through real-world performance. When you calculate the cost per year for a G-Shock that lasts 20 years, you're looking at Canadian $2 to $9 annually, depending on the model. The value here isn't just about price. It's about a watch that will outlive your phone, your laptop, and probably several jobs. This one will spark debate because of the price, and it deserves a full explanation. Number 4 brings us to Seiko 5 Sports, a line that represents the intersection of Japanese engineering precision and genuine affordability in the automatic watch market. Seiko Group Corporation was founded in 1881 in Japan and has spent 145 years perfecting the art of mechanical watchmaking. The Seiko 5 line was introduced in 1968 and was specifically designed to offer automatic mechanical watches at prices that working people could actually afford. The philosophy was radical for its time. A watch that didn't require a battery, that could be serviced by any competent watchmaker, and that would last for decades with basic maintenance. The Seiko 5 Sports models available in Canada use the 7S26 or 4R36 automatic movements, both of which are in-house Seiko calibers. This matters significantly. An in-house movement means Seiko controls every aspect of the manufacturing process, from the raw materials to the final assembly. The 7S26 has 21 jewels, which are tiny synthetic rubies that reduce friction in the movement. It's accurate to within plus or minus 20 seconds per day, which is acceptable for a watch at this price point. The movement is hand-assembled and tested by Seiko technicians. The case is stainless steel, typically 40 millimeters in diameter, with a hardened crystal and water resistance ranging from 100 to 200 meters, depending on the specific model. The dial is printed with lume, a luminescent compound that charges in daylight and glows in darkness, allowing you to read the time in low-light conditions. The bracelet or strap is typically stainless steel or fabric, both of which are durable and replaceable. What separates Seiko 5 Sports from quartz alternatives is the mechanical movement itself. A quartz watch is accurate, but requires battery replacement every 2 to 3 years. A Seiko 5 automatic winds itself through the motion of your wrist and requires no battery. You can service it indefinitely. You can pass it to your children. The validation for Seiko 5 comes from the watch enthusiast community, which has elevated this line to legendary status. Hodinkee, one of the most respected watch publications globally, declared the Seiko 5 as the best value in automatic watches. Protégez-vous, the Quebec-based consumer protection magazine, has reviewed Seiko watches multiple times and consistently praised their reliability and value. The Canadian military has issued Seiko watches to personnel. Seiko 5 Sports models are available at Walmart Canada, Chrono24.ca, Halifax Watch Company, and Legacy Jewelry. Pricing ranges from Canadian $280 to $370 depending on the specific model, and whether you're buying a sports variant or a dress variant. When you calculate the cost per year over a 30-year ownership period, you're looking at Canadian $9 to $12 annually. But here's the crucial part. After 30 years, the watch is still functional and still valuable. You can sell it or pass it on. The cost per year actually decreases over time. You've seen this brand in every grocery store from Vancouver to St. John's. But do you really know what's inside? Number 3 is Orient Bambino, a watch that has become something of a cult classic among people who understand value but refuse to compromise on aesthetics. Orient Watch is a Japanese manufacturer founded in 1950, making it younger than Seiko, but with an equally impressive track record. The Bambino line was introduced in 2009 and was designed specifically to offer an automatic dress watch that could compete with Swiss alternatives at a fraction of the price. The engineering here is elegant in its simplicity. The Bambino uses the 46943 automatic movement, a caliber that Orient developed in-house. It has 21 joules, is accurate to within plus or minus 20 seconds per day, and features a power reserve of approximately 40 hours. The case is stainless steel, typically 38 to 40 millimeters in diameter, with a domed mineral crystal that gives the watch a vintage aesthetic. The water resistance is 30 meters, which means it handles daily wear and hand washing but not swimming or snorkeling. The dial is available in multiple colors, with the white dial and champagne dial being the most popular. The lume on the hands and indices is applied by hand, giving each watch a slightly unique appearance. The bracelet or leather strap is stainless steel or genuine leather, both of which are replaceable. What makes the Bambino remarkable is its design language. It looks like a watch that costs 3 times its actual price. The proportions are correct. The finishing is refined. The lume application is precise. This is a watch that works as a dress watch for formal occasions and as a daily wear piece for casual settings. The validation for Orient Bambino comes from multiple sources. Hodinkey has praised it as the best affordable dress watch available. Watch Crunch, a Canadian watch community forum, regularly recommends the Bambino to people entering the hobby. The watch has been featured in multiple YouTube reviews by respected watch critics, none of whom were paid for their endorsements. The Bambino is available through chrono24.ca, Long Island Watch with shipping to Canada, and select Canadian retailers. Pricing ranges from Canadian dollar $150 to $300 depending on the specific model and dial color. The value here is in the aesthetics combined with mechanical reliability. You're buying a watch that looks premium, functions reliably, and will last for decades. The cost per year over a 30-year ownership period is Canadian dollar 5 to 10 annually. Before you skip this one, understand that this watch will make you look like you spent $500 when you actually spent $150 to $300. Number 2 brings us to Citizen Eco Drive, a line that represents a different approach to affordable watchmaking, solar power combined with Japanese precision. Citizen Watch Company was founded in 1918 in Japan and has spent over 100 years developing proprietary technologies that set it apart from competitors. The Eco Drive line was introduced in 1976 and was revolutionary for its time. It was the first quartz watch powered by solar cells that could charge from any light source, including artificial indoor lighting. The technology is specific and measurable. The Eco Drive movement uses a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that charges through solar cells integrated into the dial. The cells are visible but don't interfere with the watch's appearance. The battery holds a charge for approximately 6 months in complete darkness, meaning you can take off the watch, store it in a drawer, and it will still be functional when you put it back on. The movement is quartz, accurate to within plus or minus 15 seconds per month. The case is stainless steel, typically 40 to 42 millimeters in diameter, with a hardened mineral or sapphire crystal depending on the model. Water resistance ranges from 100 to 200 meters depending on the specific model. The bracelet is stainless steel or leather, both durable and replaceable. What separates Eco Drive from standard quartz watches is the elimination of battery replacement. You will never need to change the battery in an Eco Drive watch. This has profound implications for long-term ownership cost and environmental impact. The validation for Eco Drive comes from environmental organizations and consumer protection agencies. The Canadian government has recognized Eco Drive as a sustainable technology. Consumer Reports has tested Eco Drive models and praised their reliability and longevity. The watch has been adopted by Canadian outdoor enthusiasts, hikers, and people who spend significant time in natural light. Citizen Eco Drive watches are available at Best Buy Canada, Costco locations across the country, and select Canadian retailers. Pricing ranges from Canadian dollar $200 to $400, depending on the specific model and materials. The value here is in the combination of solar technology, no battery replacement, and Japanese reliability. When you calculate the cost per year over a 40-year ownership period, accounting for the fact that you will never pay for a battery replacement, you're looking at Canadian dollar 5 to 10 annually. The long-term cost of ownership is lower than any alternative on this list, and that's why it's at the top. At number 1 sits Barrington Griffiths Watch Company, a Canadian-made micro-brand that represents something entirely different from everything else on this list. Barrington Griffiths was founded in Calgary, Alberta, in the early 21st century, with a mission to create mechanical watches designed and hand-assembled in Canada, using a combination of Canadian and imported components. This is not a company that outsources manufacturing to Asia and slaps a Canadian label on the result. The watches are physically assembled in Calgary by Canadian watchmakers. The philosophy is explicit: create watches that honor Canadian achievement and craftsmanship. The engineering is where Barrington Griffiths distinguishes itself. Each watch uses a Swiss-made automatic movement, typically an ETA or Sellita caliber, which are among the most respected movements in the world. The case is stainless steel, hand-finished by Canadian craftspeople. The dial is custom-designed and printed in Canada. The assembly process is manual, meaning each watch is inspected and tested individually before it leaves the workshop. The water resistance ranges from 100 to 300 meters depending on the specific model. The case diameter typically ranges from 38 to 42 millimeters. The bracelet or strap is stainless steel or genuine leather, both of which are replaceable. What makes Barrington Griffiths remarkable is the transparency and traceability. You can contact the company directly and speak with the person who assembled your watch. You can visit the workshop in Calgary. You can see exactly where your money is going. The validation for Barrington Griffiths comes from the Canadian watch enthusiast community and from Canadian media outlets that have covered the brand's growth. The company has partnered with the Canadian Ski Patrol to create exclusive models. The watches are featured in Canadian publications and on Canadian watch forums. This has earned credibility through community engagement and real craftsmanship. Barrington Griffiths watches are available directly through bgwatch.com and select Canadian retailers specializing in independent watch brands. Pricing ranges from Canadian $400 to $800 depending on the specific model and materials. The value here is different from everything else on this list. You're not just buying a watch. You're buying a piece of Canadian manufacturing, supporting a local business, and acquiring a timepiece that was physically assembled by a Canadian craftsperson. When you calculate the cost per year over a 40-year ownership period, you're looking at Canadian $10 to $20 annually. But the intangible value, the knowledge that your watch was made in Canada by Canadian hands, adds something that pure mathematics cannot capture. Which of these brands do you already trust? And which one surprised you? I already know which one will start the biggest debate in the comments. The watch industry has spent decades convincing Canadians that value and quality are mutually exclusive, that the only way to get a reliable watch is to pay premium prices to premium brands. That's a lie designed to protect profit margins. The 6 brands you've just seen prove that exceptional watches exist at every price point, that Canadian retailers stock them, and that the only thing preventing you from owning one is the belief that you need to spend more. Subscribe, because we do this every week. We find the products that the industry actively works to keep invisible, and we show you the numbers that prove they deserve your attention. Comment which one you're buying first.